Under the harsh fluorescence of a grocery store aisle, where life usually feels ordinary, predictable, even boring, something unimaginable was about to unfold. Not an explosion, not a robbery, not the kind of chaos people whisper about afterward. No. This story begins with silence. With a signal so small, so fragile, that most people would have walked right past it without noticing, but not him. Logan Pierce, a tattooed biker with a reputation as dark as the night roads he rode, walked slowly down aisle 9, thinking only about grabbing a box of cereal and getting back on the highway. No one expected kindness from him. No one expected courage. No one expected him to save anybody. Society had already carved his label into stone: criminal, troublemaker, lost cause, but fate doesn't care about labels, because at that exact moment, a little girl no older than 6 turned the corner with a tall, cold-eyed man whose snake tattoo curled around his arm like a warning. Her tiny hand was wrapped in his, but her eyes screamed a different story. Wide, fearful, pleading, and then she did it. She raised her hand, palm open, fingers tucked then released, a silent cry for help that only a few in the world would even recognize. A signal meant for victims who couldn't speak. A signal shared across the internet late at night, often ignored, rarely needed, until now. Logan stopped. The world stopped. And in the heavy, breathless pause between danger and decision, a man the world had already judged as a monster became something no one expected, a hero. Under the humming lights of the grocery store, Logan Pierce looked like a contradiction wrapped in leather. A broad-shouldered man with tattoos crawling up his arms, scars from old battles, and eyes that had seen far too much of the world. His leather vest carried the unmistakable patch of the Hells Angels, a symbol that made people step aside, whisper, assume the worst. Logan wasn't bothered by it. He wasn't here for people. He was here for food, for silence, and for the empty road waiting outside. He grabbed a box of cereal, turned into aisle 9, and froze. At first he didn't know why. Maybe it was the way the air shifted. Maybe it was instinct. Or maybe it was fate nudging him forward. But then he saw her. A little girl with tangled hair, faded shoes, and a trembling lower lip. She walked beside a tall man whose grip on her wrist looked a little too tight. The snake tattoo on the man's arm slithered with every step he took, but it was her eyes, those glassy, frightened eyes, that rooted Logan to the spot. She looked right at him, and didn't look away. Slowly, carefully, as if afraid he might miss it, the girl raised her hand. Palm open. Thumb tucked. Fingers folded over it. Then opened again. A silent signal. A cry for help without a word spoken. Logan felt his heart slam against his ribs. He'd seen that signal before, scrolling through videos late at night in some old motel room. A hand gesture created for victims who couldn't speak out loud. A way to say, I'm in danger. His breath caught. No, is this real? Here? Now? The man holding her noticed Logan staring. His grip tightened. The girl flinched. That was enough. Logan set down his cereal box. His boots thumped heavily against the polished store floor as he started walking toward them, each step louder than the hum of refrigerators. The man stiffened. What do you want? He snapped, pulling the girl closer. Too close. Logan didn't answer. He crouched instead, offering the girl the softest smile a man like him could manage. Hey there, little one, he said gently. The girl didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her eyes begged him to not walk away. The man barked, we're in a hurry. But Logan heard the lie before the words were even finished. You dropped something, Logan said, pointing behind them with a casual shrug. The man turned. Just for a second. A mistake. Logan leaned down and whispered to the girl, you're safe now. I've got you. Then he stood, tall, unmoving, not as a biker, but as a wall. In one swift motion, Logan lifted his phone and snapped a picture, face, tattoo, everything. The man lunged forward in rage. What the hell do you think you're doing, old man? Logan's voice shifted. Calm. Cold. Steady, the cops are already coming, he said, pressing the emergency SOS button. Now the man was the one who froze, panic cracked through his expression. His grip loosened. His eyes darted around the store like a trapped animal, and then he ran, full speed, down the aisle, out of the exit. Logan didn't waste time. He wrapped his leather jacket around the trembling girl, shielding her from the cold and the stares of confused shoppers. She clung to him instantly, her small fingers gripping tightly into his vest. "It's okay," Logan whispered. "You're safe." Minutes later, the wailing echo of sirens filled the parking lot. The police sprinted inside, taking statements, gathering details. The man was caught before he even reached the end of the block. He wasn't her father. He wasn't even a relative. He had abducted her 2 days earlier from a local park. And no one knew if she was alive, until now. The girl's name was Mia. She stayed glued to Logan, refusing to let go of his hand even as the officers gently asked her questions. She answered quietly, bravely, but each time her voice shook. She squeezed Logan's thumb like she needed him to anchor her. Logan, who had spent years avoiding attachments, avoiding feelings, felt something inside him unravel. Something warm. Something painful. Something human. When Mia's real mother arrived, she collapsed onto her knees, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. She embraced her daughter like she would never let go again. Logan turned away, wiping a tear with the back of his hand, pretending there was dust in his eye, but Mia saw. She ran to him, small footsteps pattering across the tile, and gently tugged at his vest. "Wait," she whispered. From her pocket, she pulled out a tiny angel charm. Plastic. Cheap. A little worn, she placed it in his jacket pocket. "You're my biker angel," she said, smiling for the first time since he'd seen her. Logan's chest tightened so hard it almost hurt. He didn't trust his voice enough to speak, so he simply nodded and rested a gentle hand on her shoulder before walking back toward the sunlight, the tiny charm pressing softly against his heart. The story exploded across local news. Biker saves kidnapped child using secret rescue signal. Hell's Angel becomes unexpected hero. Silent hand sign saves little girl. People who once crossed the street to avoid Logan now approached him with gratitude, respect, even admiration, but for Logan, none of that mattered. What mattered was the tiny angel charm now hanging from his bike's keychain. Every time he touched it, he remembered the moment that changed everything, the moment his past didn't matter, the moment he chose courage, the moment he saved a life. And his own. Months passed, but Logan often returned to that same store. Sometimes he hoped to see Mia and her mother again. Sometimes he didn't, but every time he rode past the aisles where it all happened, he whispered a silent promise: "I'll never ignore another raised hand." Because sometimes angels don't fly, sometimes they ride.